Welcome to the Backseat, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and by we, I mean just me. I do have a special guest today, my fiance.
Hello.
We're back from a week off because we had some last minute family. I guess all family emergencies are a little last minute, but Connor was kind of getting ramped up with some college stuff, and he's not feeling too good right now. So I think maybe for sure this week, obviously, and then maybe next week we'll be having either another guest or my fiance on the podcast. So welcome to the Backseat, Alicia.
Thanks for having me.
So a couple things I wanted we talk about. We've mentioned it on multiple podcasts already, but our newly announced engagement.
We are engaged.
It's been a month and 6 days as of recording. So I figured we'd, have you on and kind of talk about life and such, how things went, how things are going, what are we thinking about in the future, all that good stuff. So if you are listening, be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Patreon at the Backseat Banter. And this episode might be a little bit more, kind of vloggy or bloggy, in a way. Maybe not as comical as we typically do with our guy Connor, but I figured we'd just talk about engagement and maybe kind of talk about our future plans and such. You feel?
Sounds fun.
So like many of you guys know, I started 2023 with the New Year's resolution to get engaged. I was like, this is my Jordan year. I'm turning 23. It's 2023, all this good stuff. It wasn't until I think late March, early April that I decided that I really wanted to I'm like, oh, this is the girl and stuff. And it was funny because so obviously you guys get to hear her perspective because I'm not sure how much I've filled in the deets with everybody in person or especially on the podcast. I haven't done too much, but it started back in March where I was like, you know what? I think this is kind of what I want to do, right? I've had this not pressure, but have these like in and out teases by Allie saying, oh, when I'm going to get married, blah, 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 But so it's actually kind of funny. So my first time that I chickened out was actually, it was in April. It was Easter Sunday. So her whole family ended up coming down. And they live like 2 hours north of us. And so they came down for what was it, prom dress shopping for your younger sister?
I think so. I think it was probably prom.
Yeah. So I was working that weekend anyways. And so I think I got a text saying, oh, my parents are coming down. I'm going to go hang out with them. I think she had the weekend off. So I was like, okay, I'll just catch up with you guys afterwards. And I think I was off at like 3 that afternoon. And she sent me a text. Do you remember the text you sent me?
No, I don't.
Okay, so she sent me a text saying, hey, my dad probably doesn't want to go prom dress shopping.
I remember.
So he wants to see if you want to catch a golf game. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, at this point, this was like literally like the first 2 months of the quote unquote spring or 2 weeks of the quote unquote spring because it was starting warming up. The snow was obviously melted. It was, getting warmer and stuff. The sun was out. And so my boss, he was like, this is your chance. And this is this is what I'm saying is I've been kind of open. I was very open to everybody else, obviously besides Allie, what my plans were for my New Year's resolution. So, I was like, oh yeah, I need to ask for his blessing, blah, 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 blah. And then it was such an adrenaline rush because he's like, what a more perfect time to do it than on the golf course, maybe, just you and him. Obviously the girls are going to do their own thing. So it's just like our first, it would have been my first time literally having
one-on-one with my dad.
With her dad, yeah. And obviously we've talked, we've hung out in, the house, but it wasn't, I've never spent any other time
I've always been around.
Yeah, exactly. So, or we're doing something as a family, right? Something.
There's always been someone else in the picture rather than just you two.
So I think I met them at Applebee's. I think we all went and got Applebee's that day. And so they were going to go hit the mall, and I work at the mall. So they were going to go hit the mall hit a couple stores for their prom dress. And of course, with it being warmer that day, we weren't the only ones to think about golf. I mean, every single golf course in our local area was like booked out. And I'm like, oh, well, it kind of killed the vibe because I don't know what I'm going to do now, right?
Right.
So as the girls did their thing, he asked if I wanted to go play Golden Tee with them. And so Golden Tee, if you guys don't know, is like an arcadey game. It's kind of like
skee ball.
Skee ball. Yeah.
Skee ball.
Yeah, skee ball. So it's kind of like skee ball, but you don't actually throw the ball. Instead, there's
like roll it.
Yeah, on the screen is like the golf course. It tells you like the range and everything. And essentially, you just have to swipe the ball at a certain angle, at a certain in a certain motion. But it's kind of like a skee ball. It's just a circular ball that kind of stays in place and just rolls. And so we went there, and I was like, oh, this is and for people who don't know, Golden Tee is a very not like, I guess, how do I say this? It's like an adult game. It's not like
you find it more in bars than
pubs.
You do at like a Dave and Buster's.
Yeah. So that's why I was trying to explain. That's the information I was trying to emit here. But yeah, so we actually went to a bar, but it was like a dark and not gloomy bar, but it was definitely like the bars where you see in like movies where it's like super, super dark, a bunch of guys just screaming and like beer everywhere. It was kind of like that. I kind of gave me like a dark, eerie vibe.
Does not sound fun.
In the corner, there was like a bunch of like arcade games, and Golden Tee was one of them.
Sure.
And from what I understood, her dad was telling me all this stuff about how like in college, this was like his thing.
He's a big Golden Tee guy.
Big Golden Tee guy. And he was like in tournaments and winning money and all that stuff. So we started playing. I'm like, with this in mind, I'm kind of, setting the scene a little bit, is because I'm like, I'm not about to ask her dad for a blessing in the middle of a loud bar. Music's playing. People are cheering and laughing.
Not the vibe.
We're playing basically a video game,
Yeah.
So whatever, we start playing. It was actually kind of funny. I think my second or third hole in, I got a hole in one by accident. Obviously,
no, my dad was so excited.
He's like, bro. He told me obviously he played quote unquote competitively back in his days, but he told me he went like years of playing weekly without getting a hole in one. It was so funny because there was a couple drunk old guys next to me. He's like, holy cow, man, that's so great, So anyways, we go there. We play for probably 30, 45 minutes, and then we go back to the mall. He needed a new PS5 or a PlayStation.
He didn't need a PS5.
Well, the PS3, 4 he had.
I think it was a 4.
It broke down like a week or two before.
It didn't break down.
So, it was a good, quote unquote,
persuaded into buying a new one.
It was like a good bonding moment though, because I was like, he's like, oh, I kind of want a PS5, and he was telling me that her mom was telling him no a couple times.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, well, we have nothing to do, and the GameStop in the mall has a PS5.
Yeah, we weren't done dress shopping, so you guys had time to kill too.
Didn't he go up to your mom and was like, hey, you cool if I, go buy a PS5?
This is kind of what I want to do.
And she's like, oh yeah. And he's like, dude, that was so crazy, because he told me that he not asked, because he didn't have to ask for permission, but he kind of got the you probably could spend your money.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
You could buy other things.
Yeah, but she was like, oh yeah, if go hang out with Michael, go buy a PS5. I didn't buy anything, but he definitely got that. So I was like, you know what? It was a good initial. I had a fun time.
Right.
We ended up after buying the PlayStation, we went to their hotel so we can drop off. We didn't want to walk around with a $500 console. There was this weird 20-minute time where we just sat in the room just watching TV or something.
Right.
And I'm like, this is
not the vibe.
No, it was, but it was I felt forced. I felt
sure. I'm
like, I have to do it today, so I'm like, I have to do it. And so in that aspect, I felt a little pressured. I'm like, and he was like, oh yeah, they're almost, and the hotel's in the same parking lot as the mall. So I'm like, in any beck and call, they can say, oh, we're on our way back, and be in within 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pass, right? Everybody gave me crap because I was overhyping this thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get her blessing.
Not that big of a
this
deal.
is the perfect day to do it, and then I didn't do it, right? Fast forward 2 more months, we went to a little resort. What's it called?
Terrace Lakes.
Terrace Lakes, yeah.
The golfing and stuff?
Yeah, there was a golf place. They have a pool. It's just in the middle, literally nowhere. And her parents were like, "Oh, for Father's Day, we got like this cabin essentially."
Yeah, they got like an Airbnb, a little cabin.
Yeah, it was just in the middle of the mountains, super pretty, secluded, no Wi-Fi,
no
or
Wi-Fi,
cell service.
no cell service.
It was a good little getaway. So
yeah, it was fun.
So there they had a big golf course, and they're like, "Hey, tell Michael to bring his golf clubs." And I'm like, "Okay, run it back for round 2 type thing, right?" So I'm overhyping myself. I'm like, "Okay, guys, this is it. I'm so excited." The last time, that was my first time having that one-on-one with her dad. I'm like, we got that initial ice breakage out of the way. Right. Now we're chilling, So we were up there for like, I think 2 or 3 days, like full days. And obviously when when we went golfing, there was actually a chance her younger sister and her sister's boyfriend was going to tag along. And I'm like, no, like as much as I like
respectfully,
I need
my time.
Exactly. I need my time alone. And so it wasn't until like the 5 minutes before we left to go golfing where they bailed. And I'm like,
right.
Well, now I was mentally told myself I'm not going to do it. So now I have to mentally tell myself I have to. You have to.
You got to talk yourself back into it.
This was my first time playing golf at that point in like at least 5 years. Like I didn't pick up a club.
Good chunk of time.
Yeah, like it was like crazy. And her dad is a big golfer. So it was like not only the nerve of me having to ask him for his blessing, playing with him when I'm completely inexperienced, and also the fact that I already told myself I wasn't going to do it, and now I have to do it now, right? So this is like the first time you're hearing a lot of this, right?
This is all new, yeah.
Yeah. So we go, we're golfing, we're having a lot of fun. It's starting to rain a little bit, and there was a point where we had to wait for the team or the golfers in front of us, so we just sat at our tee box for like literally, honestly, like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like,
no cell service, no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? This might be a good time. But we started just talking about like, at that point, we haven't gotten to the Ed Sheeran concert yet. So we were talking about that for a little bit. And so I'm like, you know what? This was another good time, quote unquote, where I'm like, you know what? Maybe we just slow down on the blessing part.
Maybe it's more of just a bonding moment right now.
Bonding moment. Because at that point, I told them, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I'm rushing. Not that I needed to be like buds with him before I asked for his blessing, but it's like, it's nice to drop a bomb like, hey, I know we see each other like 4 or 5 times a year.
But hear me out.
Hear me out. I'm just going to marry your daughter type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, I didn't feel rushed that I was rushing our relationship or where we were in our relationship. I felt like, not that it mattered, but like I felt like I was rushing his and mine relationship, right? Okay, fast forward 2 more months, right? I mean, the family came down 1 or 2 times the next few months, but it was like, the whole family came down, spent a night or 2 and left. And it was like, it's
always just quick trips down when we see my family. It's never like extended. It's always like a day or 2, and we're always busy.
Exactly. And then, so the last time I had an opportunity was we went up for the weekend, or maybe like 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah, quick.
And him and he was watching like Avengers for the first time, and so I'm a big Marvel nerd. You guys can't see, but I have a lot of stuff
everywhere
around
in this room.
And we're watching it. It's like 11 o'clock, and we're like 2 Avengers. He wasn't even watching them in chronological order. He was just watching the Avengers in order, like the actual Avengers movies.
Because that's important.
At that point, Allie's like, I'm getting tired. Peace out. I'm gonna go to the room. I'm like, aha. So it's like 11:30. Me and her dad are the only people in the living room watching this freaking superhero movies for the first time with him. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just pop it really quick. Maybe I pop, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and then use the excuse, thanks for the talk. I'm gonna go to sleep because I'm tired.
Bye.
So there's not this awkward, like, weird, like, what do we do?
Do I get up and go now? Do I leave? Do I stay?
Exactly. So there was this point where the movie ended. He's like, you want to stay up and watch another movie? I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I'm like, let me go take the dog out to go to the restroom, and then we can, And I was hoping that there was going to be like this weird, like after the movie and before the movie started, we're all doing, he had to like grab a couple of drinks or something like that. And I had to go take the dogs out. But by the time I came back inside, he started the movie ready. So I'm like,
yeah,
I tried. A for effort,
Another time.
And then obviously, early December was like my last time, I was like,
clock's ticking, running out of time.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, I have literally less than a month to get this done for a quote unquote New Year's resolution, like fulfillment. So I was like, you know what? Well, I didn't say it. I was greatly peer pressured by literally everybody in my store or in the like at my job. They're like, just do it over the phone. Nobody really cares. It's like,
it's not that big of a
when
deal.
you're getting married in front of everybody, nobody's gonna ask you how you asked your dad. It's
true.
about how you proposed, how you guys met, all this stuff, not how you guys asked your dad. I'm like, I mean, way to be logical about it. You know?
True though.
So I got peer pressured and sending him a text, and then we scheduled he was busy, so we scheduled like a quick 5 o'clock like call when he got off work, and it was so funny because I haven't showed a lot of people, but that day it was a Tuesday afternoon, and Connor came over to film at 5:30. And I'm like, well, this is awkward because in the next 10 minutes, her dad's going to call me and I don't know what to do. And he's like, bro, you're chilling. I just
don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. So I called him, and Connor was literally sitting in this couch, and I'm just right behind the camera where the camera is right now, just calling him. Connor's just over there with his phone recording
vlogging the whole behind the scenes of your back.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny. I did a couple audio test calls with Connor and kind of got some nerves out. Her dad was obviously really excited, like genuinely, like super, like
really
cool about
cute,
it.
excited.
Yeah. So obviously at that point I already bought the ring. I bought the ring late November, and then asked for the blessing. Like I think the 5th or 7th,
early December.
Yeah, I think it was the 5th if I'm not wrong.
Something like
5th or 7th.
I think it was later than that, but
fine, later than that. Don't matter.
We have timestamps, so we can do
our. And then last but not least, Allie gave me two rules. Don't have anybody around when I propose, and don't have it on a special holiday or like special day like our birthday.
I wanted it to be its own day. I didn't want it to be overshadowed by like Valentine's Day or something.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be just intimate, just the two of us, not I look over my shoulder and my sister's there or,
Yeah, so we went up for Christmas. I managed to get was it a 4-day weekend?
It was like 4 or 5, yeah.
It was the first time in years I've ever had like Christmas off. And so we went up. I got the blessing out of the way, so I didn't have to worry about that. It was just more of we're going up Friday. Saturday is the day before Christmas Eve, so it's Christmas Eve's Eve. So I'm like, that's not an important day. So therefore,
I found a loophole through this.
Yeah, I could propose, and so I packed up the ring. I hid it, and then when we went and got breakfast that day. Mm-hmm. And mind you, her parents live in a ski resort town, so it wasn't snowy yet. Like, as everybody knows, winters come late, but it was definitely...
There was snow on the ground, and it was like 15 degrees.
Yeah, I think with wind, it was like 18 degrees.
The wind chill off of that lake, awful.
Yeah. And then, so when she was getting ready in the bathroom with all her, hair stuff, I slipped that ring into my pocket, went and got breakfast, because I had two options here. I reserved a breakfast reservation so we can have breakfast, and after breakfast I can propose. Or I also had a dinner reservation because regardless, I had to get it done that day. No ifs, ands, or buts. So I'm like, her parents, or no, I made a reservation for dinner. So I'm like, if anything, I do an excuse like, oh, let's go into town, let me propose, and then we meet them at dinner.
Right.
But it was so funny because the game plan. How did I guess I've been talking a lot. How did I kind of cover up my plan?
It was another day. I genuinely, still to this day, I would have never expected it to happen. It just felt like another day. Yeah. Everything seemed so normal. We were going to breakfast. We were going to go take pictures by the lake.
So that was my coy.
Christmas pictures. It just felt like another day.
That's my little... Is coy the right word?
Well, I think so.
Coy, yeah. Decoy? Yeah.
Yeah,
coy. So my coy was... Let's go take pictures together for Christmas on the lake. And so McCall has this lake, and lake is the summertime fun, ski hills are the winter fun. So I was like, let's go take pictures by the lake. You have the cool mountain backdrop. And
there was snow on the mountains. The lake wasn't frozen yet, so the lake was moving. It was perfect blue skies. Yeah. It was a perfect day to
go.
Yeah, just cold. It was cold, but it was a perfect day to go get Christmas pictures.
So we got some breakfast, and then we drove over to the little place. So I had two big places I wanted to propose at. I would think I'm quite a hopeless romantic, honestly. So there was a bench on the lake where I asked her out. I asked her out in a very Disney movie themed. Like I asked her out.
It was it's all related.
Yeah, it was like to
everything.
The movie Up. Yeah, so at the movie Up, I asked her out in like an adventure book, made like a collage, and it was like a check yes or no type thing.
There was like balloons tied to the bench.
It was either that or I proposed, like we're kind of hanging out on the bench, and then I'm like, let's take pictures. And the idea was I put my phone on the bench, and then kind of like a remembrance. Right. And then very last minute, right before we left, like that Friday we left, I'm like, my backup plan. Obviously, I think about everything.
Your backup plan has a backup plan. Yeah. That one has a backup.
So my backup plan was just down the lake, just down the street a little bit is a park that is also on the lakeside. And I gave her promise ring on a bench there. And I'm like, okay, if people, because it's touristy town, if people on the lake, I don't propose there. I tried the park. And with our luck, the park was there was nobody there.
There was not a single person there. It was perfect.
Yeah, so I set up the vlogging camera. Obviously, I try to do social media. I'm quite the influencer if I, say so myself.
Absolutely.
But we set up the camera. She had no idea. I put a microphone on. No idea.
It was just so normal.
I set up my phone for camera. So I had literally 2 cameras pointing. So my phone was on a tripod because I was taking pictures with that because on paper, my phone takes better pictures than the camera, but the camera takes equal video, if that makes any sense. And then I had the vlogging camera to record the thing. We go, I do a little bit like a vloggy setup, take some pictures. I posed it as a photo shoot. So we were taking pictures, we're doing different poses. And the idea was when I rotate her like to her side so I can hug her from behind, that's when I get on a knee because her back would be towards me. And I guess you explain the rest.
I blacked out, if I'm being honest. I told you this too. But yeah, he like turned me and I was like, okay, we're going to do another awkward like prom posing with him like hugging me from behind, but whatever. So he turned me and I was just like waiting. Like I had my hands out, like waiting for him to like grab my hand so I can look at the camera and smile. And then I saw his shadow.
I took it for account everything but
where his shadow was going to be. His shadow sold him. And his shadow dropped. And that's honestly where I blacked out.
Yeah, so
I refused to turn around. Yeah, I know that. I did not want to turn around.
I told her 3 times, I think. I'm like, hey, sweetie, turn around. Because I'm on a knee already.
I was already crying. My entire body was shaking. I was already crying. And I'm like, I don't want to turn around. I don't want to do this right now. I'm going to cry. I'm going to die. So, I blacked out.
Yeah, I did a cute little speech. And obviously she said yes. She got the ring on right now.
I finally got it.
And yeah, it was a fun little thing. It was weird because my boy Ian, shout out Ian, he recently proposed like 2 or 3 weeks before I did. Mm-hmm. And I was asking him like, oh, how was it? How was asking her dad, how was proposing, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, dude, the different levels of nervousness and anxiety was just out of the roof. And I'm like, oh, no, because I act weird when I'm anxious. I can't hide anything really.
Yeah, he doesn't hide it.
But it was crazy because when I was setting up the camera, besides the logistical part, like putting the ring in my back pocket and
I never saw you do that either.
Yeah, because it was in my coat, and so basically I put the coat on the table and I kind of did a quick little like put in the back pocket really quick.
No, because I remember like looking at the ground. I was like squishing the ground, like the snow down, so we don't have to like trample through snow. I was like looking at the lake. I never saw the ring actually go from his jacket into his pocket.
Yeah, either. And the sucky part is I actually posed for the hug from behind twice. The first time I pressed like the little timer on my watch to start the camera, and I couldn't literally get out of my pocket. I got snagged in like the little seam. I'm like, what the? And so I had to do it again. But yeah, so it was crazy because I told Ian straight up, I'm like, I would think that proposing was the easiest part. I literally described it as I did all the homework. I'm turning the assignment.
Right.
It's like that's the point you've been reaching this entire time. So everything behind it was just the build up to that, and then you just the assignment is done type thing. And so I honestly feel like I kind of hit that on the spot for at least for me personally. I wasn't too nervous. Obviously I felt like it was right. You're the right person, right timing, all that good stuff. The ring, at that point I'm like, I hope I did what she asked me to do. I've been keeping this note.
He knew.
In my notes, my phone notes, since we've been dating. I've been keeping everything from her freaking waist size to her favorite color.
Everything I probably would like ever mentioned about like the size of whatever I wear or anything, it's in that note in his phone.
Yes. So I had a feeling, obviously we've never in person shopped for or looked at rings. It was just kind of putting these pieces together, what she's told me over the past few years.
Walking past a store in the mall and like looking, be like, oh, that's pretty. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah. And so with Ian proposing, though, it kind of put like a damper. I'm like, bro, because rings was becoming a topic, and then made me want to ask more questions and, understand what she deems as a perfect proposal, but without
giving it away.
Where I'm like, oh, let me use Ian as an excuse to bring up a proposal or wedding rings, but then like deflect it. That is because of him type thing.
Which it worked.
Yeah, I did a good job.
It worked very well.
So it was, it was good. She loved the ring. It was like the first few times when she looked at the ring, I was like, "Do you like it? Did I do a good job?"
You kept asking me, "Do you like it? Is it pretty?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like, no, it's perfect.
So yeah, so that was it was fun. It was like I said, a long time coming. I told Allie straight up when we first started dating, because we were coworkers for a couple years prior to dating, was that, and at that point we were actually both in relationships too. I think I mentioned that on the podcast a handful of times, but I told her when I asked her out, because we were like in that flirty stage and stuff, and she was newly single, I was definitely single.
Newly single.
Yeah, so I'm like, I told her straight up, I'm like, hey, just an FYI, I'm like, I do you remember me telling you? I'm like, I'm not looking for a short-term thing. Like, if we're gonna do this, we're doing it. So here we are, a Burgess to be.
It worked.
But I'll have Allie break down. So this is not like in stone yet, but this is kind of the idea we want for our wedding.
Oh, I was like, don't put me on the spot. No, there's nothing that's kind of set in stone or anything, but I don't want a big wedding. I've never wanted a big wedding. I don't want everyone I know to be there. So the plan as of right now, we're going to get an Airbnb down in the Redwoods.
Yeah, in California.
Like Crescent, California. Like very northern, like Crescent City, Redwoods. And we're just going to elope down there with maybe 20 people max.
Yeah, I think we have 14, 15.
Like, 16 maybe. And that's like including if this person's going to have a +1. Yeah. And that time is kind of like what we're thinking too. So maybe even less than that. But yeah, that's the plan as of right now.
The idea is we rent a cool car. I'm down
apparently we're going to rent a cool car.
A convertible to be exact.
I don't like convertibles, but whatever.
We'll figure it out. So we're going to drive to California, which is what, a 9-hour drive?
I think so. I think it's like 9 or 10 hours to get to
like
Crescent City.
Yeah, so it's like if we leave early enough.
Yeah, we're going to leave like super early, get there midday maybe. Yeah. Kind of have the rest of that day, get married the next day, and then have like 2 or 3 more days to kind of just
hang out,
enjoy ourselves before we go back to work.
So our idea was, because venues are just...
I don't know if you guys have ever looked into the price of venues. It's ridiculously expensive.
Like multi-grand for just a barn.
Minimum $5,000, and that includes tables and chairs and the building. That doesn't even include like the food, any other decorating. No.
Yeah, so there's a couple of them where there was one venue I really, really liked.
It was really pretty.
In my eyes, a perfect venue. Less country. We live in Idaho, so everything's like country based. So
I don't want a barn wedding. Yeah, we're not getting married in a barn.
Yeah, but I like the idea of a water, like a pond or a little river or something.
A fountain or something. Yeah.
So there was this one I really liked, and it was one of those things you had to like send an email to get the pricing.
Request it.
And they came back with like $6,000. I'm like,
yeah. And some of those is like $6,000 for just the reception. If you want to get married there, it costs more money.
Yeah, it's like you have to cater food out of our own pocket. You get
bring all of the decorations if you want any like decor, flowers, if you want to like decorate the arch
like
or anything.
For
just a building.
For like 8 hours, max. Like
not
just
even
for a
that.
Day. Do you not reserve it for a whole day?
No, most of them are maybe like 4 hours for just the reception.
Like, think about that.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy. So what we were looking at was, I think she saw on TikTok about someone getting married in the Redwoods, and obviously we're not tied to it anywhere specific. So we drive 9 hours away, and then we found this big Airbnb that just like literally I can like sneeze and my freaking spit will hit the ocean.
In the ocean.
Like that's how close it was. So it's just a bigger, wide
for like
open,
a sixth of the price.
Giant windows, and we could stay there for what, 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5 days
for like $1,200.
Yeah. Total.
And the idea is like that would be our quote unquote venue
where the reception would be.
Yeah. We go get married in the Redwoods, come back.
That's dinner, where we would do like a barbecue, make like burgers or something.
Go to the beach and go to the beach.
Games. Yeah. Do a fire down there or something and just hang out.
Yeah. And then just in the Airbnb, it'll just be me, her, and her family and everybody else. Hopefully can just get their own hotels. But I think, for the cost, like the cost would be like $300 max for the car rental, not necessarily like the gas. Like $1,000 to $1,200 for
for the actual Airbnb. Getting a permit to get married in a national park is like $100.
Yeah, it's super cheap.
Yeah,
and then obviously we have like the Idaho state documents we have to sign. That's like $30-$50, right?
An Idaho marriage license is $30.
Yeah, and then I'm like, obviously we'll probably spend a decent amount of food, but I can tell you, at that point we're less than $2,000.
We're still under budget.
We're less than $2,000. We can spend $4,000 to make up for the one venue we wanted that's 20 minutes away from where we live right now. So I'm like, you know what? It makes sense. It helps us keep it small too, because a lot of people don't like to travel for weddings, Not that we want to invite everybody to that.
Not that everyone's invited.
But, it's more of an intimate thing,
He has his friends that are like family that he's going to want to come.
I've had to create my own family and hopefully start a new family now. But it was just one of those things where it's like, you know what? Let's just keep it small and intimate.
Yeah.
We're kind of low-key people.
Yeah.
And, make it pretty. I think besides that, we kind of came up with the color scheme, which is sage green and blush blue or something.
Sage green and dusty blue.
Dusty blue, blush pink. I don't know what the
No, we got rid of that color. He's still dead set on pink, but
I think pink's cute.
2 colors, green and blue.
So that's kind of our game plan, the story of us.
We still have plenty of time to plan a wedding.
Yeah. So
it's still a year and a half away for the date on when we want to get married. So we have time.
Yeah. So the inside scoop is that we're getting married on June 7th of 2025. Mainly because I tell you, kid you not, I was a week into our relationship when I said, hey, if we ever get married, we should get married on the 10th. And the funny thing is, her birthday is June 8th. My birthday is June 9th. And my idea was that we get married on the 10th. So it's just like back to back to back, just celebratory days. And I mean, I'm telling you, I said this like in our first week of dating. And then when we got engaged, I'm like, dude, this is like actually a possibility. Until we saw what June 10th of 2025.
June 10th of like this year is like, what was like a Tuesday or like a Monday or something. I'm not getting married in the middle of the week. Yeah. Which planning a wedding in 6 months is ridiculous. We can't do that.
Yeah. So. And then in 2025, June 10th also falls on a Tuesday. So if we did the 7th, it's a Saturday. So Saturday,
my birthday is Sunday, yours Monday.
Yeah, so it's kind of like
and then all of our anniversaries and birthdays can just be a week-long trip with just us.
The idea is like effectiveness, because I'm a very effective human individual. It's just like, every year we just take a week off of work. No ifs, ands, or buts. We try to go somewhere, hopefully, with the money. Just go find something and we just,
somewhere new. Every year we just do something like new and it's just us. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the game plan. But it's been fun. She just got her ring back. She's had it gone for like 2.5 weeks.
It was gone for like 2.5 weeks to get resized. And that was the worst 2.5 weeks of my life.
Yeah. Because she had it at that point for like 2 weeks.
I had it for like 2 weeks, but it was definitely too big. It was
a little too big, and with the weather being hot and cold and all this weird stuff.
It was like falling off of my finger. And
yeah, so the funny thing is I did try her, like I found a loophole to figure out her ring size where I just made a joke when she made a joke about like, oh, I just need a ring on this finger and I'll, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hell, here. And then I would take off her promise ring and put it on her wedding ring finger. And then I noticed that it fit well. So I'm like,
it fit perfect.
So it's the same size,
It fit perfect.
That's my way of thinking.
But I think it was like the size of the promise ring on like the actual like band or whatever different. But.
And this is a little bit more, At some point, I'm pretty sure a picture popped up on the screen. Editor in the side notes, can you put that in? Yeah, I got you. Anyways, but yeah, so it's just like a simple band, and it's a hidden halo and a radiant cut rectangle gem. And I did buy a moissanite. If you guys don't know what moissanite, do your research. It's good.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah, it's let me just break this down really quick because I did a lot of research.
He did. Okay. If anyone knows Michael, he knows it's not like, he can't just do something sporadically. Everything he does, he has like 10 tabs open on Safari of like every possible thing. So I knew him picking out a ring was not going to be just a found it, bought it, like it, here you go.
It was a 50-50 split for that. So I found back in like April when I was looking at rings, I found a website. I was literally at work, bored out of my mind. So I found a website. I'm like, moissanite rings, because long story short, moissanite rings, it's kind of like a lab created diamond. But the composition of it is slightly less, not as hard as diamonds. I think on the scale, it's like a
0.25 less or something like that. It's like barely
softer, like on paper. So it's like virtually indestructible, but the composition makes it reflect more light, so it shines more rainbow-like, and it reflects more of it. So it just looks super, super pretty. If I can get that video, I'll pop it on the screen. It kind of shows you the difference between a lab diamond, or a lab diamond, a regular diamond, and a moissanite. And when I was looking at kind of like, one day I was bored, I was looking at, this is all the check boxes I need to check off. Let me search it up in this website. And I found it. I'm like, oh, wow. So it's been in my quote unquote like private browser for like over a year at that point, or around a year at that point. So I, it was kind of just a big determination of what size ring I needed, like carat wise. Cause I'm like, I can.
And looking at that online is hard because you don't know how big it's going to be.
Yeah. Like I said, we've never been ring shopping. Like I didn't know what a 2 carat looked like. And so based off of what Ian got, cause Ian got 2. What is yours again?
Mine's 2. I think Megan's is a little like tiny bit
Ian's
bigger.
Was
like
I think 2.1, 2.2 or 2.25.
Something like
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that looks like a decent size. I can splurge, but I'm like, it is, because there was like this whole thing, but like, the ring size depends on what she does for work. How long her fingers are, or how like
certain shapes look better on certain finger types.
Like certain shirts are more flatter on certain bodies type thing. So I did a lot of research. And then when I finally bought it, it came in. I'm like, dude, this is like crazy. I got a hidden halo on it too. It was just
it's perfect.
I thought
it's like the perfect size, like carat. It
was so funny because when I first, I'm not going to talk shit about a certain company, but when I first looked into the rings, the first, like the very top, if you search up moissanite rings, I guarantee that the first website that pops up is called Brilliant Earth. And so
very well known.
I was like looking at them. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Moissanites are like crazy cheaper than diamonds, by the way.
A lot. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. So like thousands of dollars, like sometimes a third of the price.
Like a 2 carat moissanite compared to a 2 carat diamond. Couple $1,000 difference.
Yeah. So I was looking, and obviously I had to go through Reddit threads, and all of those were saying Brilliant Earth, they seem cool, like customer service is crap. Trustpilot.com was like meh. And then so I ended up buying it from Moissanite Co. Turns out there's a Moissanite Company, and I thought they were the same thing because Allie said she looked at that website.
My coworker and I found a Moissanite Company, their TikTok, and had been like we were both like building rings and looking at rings. And I told him about Moissanite Company, and he was like,
So I got so mad. So she sent me a text. She's like, "Oh, look at what like the ring I designed on Moissanite Company." And I'm like, I was in front of Ian at the time. I'm like, bro, she needs to stop searching rings because I genuinely thought that's Moissanite Co. and Moissanite Company were the same thing.
Different.
So I'm like, I want her to know that because I already ordered the ring at that point. I wanted her to know that I picked that website because based on my research, not because you sent it to me. I wanted her to think that I did a good job.
He did.
Taking notes, all that stuff. And then I found out Moissanite Company and Co. are different. So I'm like, whatever. And it was so funny because Ian bought his from like Charles and Colvard. And I didn't even see that pop up. And those have really good reviews too. So free plug to sponsor us. But yeah, it came in. I ordered it. It took like I think 5-6 days for it to be created, and then it was a free 2-day air shipping,
which is crazy to think about how quick.
I shipped it to the store I work at, so she had no idea. It was just chilling, just right there for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, which all makes sense now. There was one day I was home and I came in here to charge the iPad, and I left the door open because I didn't think anything about it. He comes home, he's like, "Why is my bedroom door open? What are you doing in there?" I'm like, "I'm just charging iPad." And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't want Hazel in here. She chews on things." I was like, "Bruh."
Yeah, it's true.
Chill. The ring had been in here for what, like 2 days at that point. So he was not happy about that one.
Yeah, but it was funny. It was, it is what it is.
All in good heart and, whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's our game plan. That's the full story. Oh yeah, I totally forgot it. It went over my head, but basically every step I made towards the proposal I vlogged for a video for her specifically. It's not anything I'm going on social media or anything like that. But that's kind of what I totally forgot to talk about was when I ordered it, I did like a little vlog. When it came in, I did a vlog. I recorded his
first time seeing it, the call with my dad.
Yeah, her dad. I recorded that whole thing, and I had like Connor's POV and my POV, and then the video I took when I was proposing to her, even though the audio was horrendous
with the wind whipping the audio. Yeah. You could hear for the most part, but then there were some parts where I'm like, all you can hear is it whipping.
Yeah, but we burnt out on CD, and it's like our little keepsake of everything. What I thought was, as narcissistic as it sounds, everything, that worked out the way I did. It
was perfect.
Yeah, so cute video.
Very cute.
And I did cry editing the video, proposing.
He did. No matter what he might say, he did cry.
A lot of emotion. Yeah.
He did cry. I cried.
I was like editing the video. I'm like, don't do this right now.
Like at my parents' like dining room table.
I'm like, don't.
Now's not the time to cry.
Anyways, but yeah. So like I said, in the next couple weeks, expect to see probably Allie a little bit more. Connor's gonna be a little tied up with his last semester of school and all that stuff.
Busy graduating college, so
yeah, freaking
big boy moves.
Excuses, bro. Is what I'm hearing. But that's a longer video. Sorry for the longer video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on patreon.com/the Banter. There we did. What was our last video? Mad Libs?
Is that your last Patreon video? Is Mad Libs?
Oh, well, we'll be filming something soon on patreon.com. So I don't know what we're doing yet. This is a really bad plug, but we're going to do something fun. Be sure to
watch it.
Yeah, be sure to check out the YouTube. Allie's been on there already. We've been making some fun videos. We did a whisper challenge.
Yeah.
There's like us trying baby food, blindfold, and all that good stuff. So, and be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at the Backseat Banter.
Don't forget the.
There we go. And then we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.